If you are a vocalist of any kind, especially a harsh metal vocalist, an extreme vocalist, whatever we want to call it, you know the difficulty that you can run into with practice. Not only is it hard to learn how to make all these crazy, cool, harsh metal types of noises, but it can be hard to find a way to do that without disturbing the other people in your house, your neighbors, the people walking down the street. It can be tough to find a solution. So today, I'm going to be looking into one of the possible solutions, one that I'm very excited about, the Isovox. To put this into context, my name is Mark. I've been a harsh vocalist, extreme vocalist for 15 years, give or take a couple. I'm the vocalist of a band called Kardashev, and I am a harsh vocal instructor. My whole job full-time is teaching people how to create crazy, guttural sounds safely and efficiently. And I've worked with tons of students. I've given almost 5,000 lessons at this point. I did the math a while ago. I don't ask why. I'm neurotic, I guess. And one of the biggest things my students run into, whether they're brand new or whether they're highly experienced vocalists, is not disturbing their neighbors or not disturbing their family members. Now, before we get into it, I do want to give you a little bit of transparency here. So I was reached out to by the Isovox team, specifically Peter, their social media administrator. They're out of Sweden, and they reached out to me wanting to do this review, and I did receive this Isovox for free. Now, we get promo offers quite frequently, actually. And if you're a constant or frequent viewer of the channel, you know we don't really do them very much. And part of the reason for that is because I only want to review things that I feel I can review with a sense of integrity. And sometimes when people are paying you, you feel pressured to not be as honest. But part of the reason I took this opportunity is because I had a call with Peter, who's a very nice guy. And he was like, listen, don't fake anything. Be as honest as you possibly can. We want people to know that this thing works. We want you to put it to the test because you know what harsh vocal students and harsh vocalists are going to be looking for. So he was very, very adamant that I be as honest with this as possible. And so I felt very comfortable. I felt like, I can give you the honest answer as to whether or not this is going to hide your voice. Now, if you're not sure what the Isovox is, it's pretty cool. Essentially, it's a portable vocal booth. There are a lot of videos talking about its recording quality. It does create really high quality takes for you. It can create basically a reflection-free zone, and it kind of looks like this inside. You're going to see possibly my phone up on a mug there because I'm going to be taking some shots from the inside, but it's super neat. You basically stand in this space. Normally I have a windscreen in front of my Rode NT1 here. But essentially, you scream with your shoulders up in these notches, and you scream or sing or even do voiceover. Maybe you read books on tape, right? Books on tape, is it 1995? And that's what this is for. But again, in this video, I'm kind of interested in, is this a valuable tool for practice? How much is this going to dampen your voice for the other people in your home, the people on the street, so you can feel comfortable, kind of letting loose and getting the most out of your practice? And you can also not bug the people nearby. So that's what we're going to be looking into today. The way that this is going to work is I'm going to test the dampening qualities in a few different spaces, right? My house is kind of built in a line, so to speak. So right outside my studio here, it's a 10 by 10 office. Right outside of my studio, there's my son's nursery. He's 2. And one of the biggest issues that I have run into was before my son was born, I actually worked a lot at night, responding to student emails, recording reaction videos. A lot of the reaction videos that you saw in the old space where I had all the black and red tiles up on the back, a lot of those were recorded like after 10 p.m. because that's when I had time to do it. These days, with my son being asleep, absolutely impossible. So I'm very excited to see what it sounds like in his room. We're going to try it both with and without his noise machines on. A little farther down the hallway, you've got the living room. That's where my wife will be sometimes if, we have dinner and then go our separate ways so I can get some work done or get some recording done for my various music projects that I'm working on. And past that is the bedroom. So we're going to have different levels of distance and different levels of sound going on in the room. And we're going to see what we can get going. That being said, let's do it. Let's get into it. Okay, so we've got a view from inside and we've got a view from outside. The view from outside probably looks super goofy, but I wanted you to see how this looks when you're using it properly. Again, you've got the back completely closed. My shoulders are pretty much right up in this divot here, and that makes sure that the Isovox is actually going to do the job that it needs to do, right? For me to test this tool, I have to make sure it's going to work properly. I've got the Rode recording, and behind the camera, I've got my buddy Riley, who you'll see later on in the video, and he's also going to let me know kind of the difference in these sounds. Okay, so now we're in the nursery, and you can hear that this nursery is boomy. The sound treatment in here is terrible. There basically is none. Now, to give you an idea of how close we are, Riley, why don't you pull that camera off the tripod here. And in fact, why don't you follow me? Let's just do a little Cardbox home tour here. So, nursery, my office. That's how close we are. So let's go ahead and head back in. And just to drive it home even more, I am going to close the doors behind me to try to get a little bit more of an accurate, oh, don't die, a little bit more accurate of an example of how the dampening works. But behind Riley, who's filming right now, there's just basically the wall that is the closet, and that's it, that's between us. There's also an air vent above here that does go into my office. It shares. So I'm really hoping this is, of all the tests, this is actually the one that I'm most concerned with, because if this works, then essentially what this means is that I would be able to work from home. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to simulate the same situation that my son would be in. So my son sleeps with some noise machines on, right? And if you think about it, most of the time, people, they aren't in rooms in pure silence. Actually, let's do both. Let's try both. So here's what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're just going to do this room in dead silence. And Riley, who you're about to meet, will stand here and kind of give Riley, let's have you do this. Let's have you do thumbs up if you hear like my voice really loud and clear. This if it's like sort of muted, and thumbs down if you can't hear anything. How's that work? Okay, cool. There's them. All right, Riley, come on. Come over here. This is Riley, everyone. Say hi, Riley.
Say hi, Riley.
So I'm going to run back into the Isovox. He's going to stand here. And so we're not only going to be getting a test through the microphone, but we're also going to be getting a human test. So you stay here. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Riley's in the nursery. I'm really excited to see how this goes. Let's go ahead and do it. Pitched false chord scream. Let's try to make this one really good. Let's try to make this an example of something that I would actually track. There we go. That was a high quality one. Let's do the high scream. That felt good. Very loud. Let's do the mid. And let's do the low. So, what was it like in this room, sharing event? What would you say? Like the loudest scream is the first one I did. That pitched false chord scream basically just sounds like somebody's being boiled alive. And then from there, I went to my quietest, lowest guttural. What would you say the experience of sound was? Was it really dampened? Was it hard to hear? Or were things pretty audible?
I could barely hear it, honestly.
You could barely hear it, honestly?
It was like you could hear that somebody was making a sound, but like you couldn't tell.
We may not even have to test the rest of the house. Let's go ahead, let's do this again, and let's turn on the sound machines. So these are the conditions that my son sleeps in, because if any of you have a toddler, you know that the sound machine is basically 1,000,000% necessary. And so if this works, your boy's gonna be making some videos at night again. So let me hop back in there, and you let me know how it goes.
Deal.
All right, I'm back from the nursery, and I know that the microphone may look a little high right now, but I promise it's the perspective of the camera. It's at a very good level. But we're back from the nursery. The sound machines are on. I'm in this properly. You got to make sure you use it right. Let's go ahead and let's hear what this is like. So again, we'll start with the pitched false chord belt. Here we go.
Is he even doing anything at this point? No. No. No.
Okay.
You're lying.
All right, I just turned off the sound machines and I walk in here and Riley, you're laughing. You step up to the mic. Tell me why you're laughing.
I didn't even know that you were making sound.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't hear shit.
All right. This is good news. This is very encouraging. So I think already, based on what I'm hearing from you, and, obviously we still have to edit this, but I think already we've proven that the Isovox is extremely good for noise dampening because first we were in this nursery, which again shares a very thin wall in the closet. And it was dead quiet and you barely heard it. And now we had a couple noise machines on and we didn't hear much at all. But just for fun, let's at least test the living room. Yeah. Just for ha-has. Let's go ahead and give it a try. To the living room we go. Okay, so now we're in the living room. And I'm not going to lie, this is really weird because I have curated my office to look very professional and YouTube-y. But out here, there's no pro lighting. The sound is awful. But what we're doing, again, is we're going to see if this is a good tool for you to be able to practice screaming without disturbing others. So, Riley, I have a job for you.
Okay.
You're going to do the exact same thing you did before. Okay. You're going to stand out here and, kind of thumbs up if you can hear it, thumbs down if you can't hear it, this. But what we're going to do, nobody's ever in the living room when it's dead quiet. Right? Nobody's ever in the living room when it's dead quiet. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a video running in the background because what people are usually watching TV, listening to music, cooking dinner. It's a house that's lived in, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to hand this to you. You're going to push play. You're going to get to watch one of my favorite YouTubers, David Vink, talk about new JRPG news because outside of music, I'm 36. Inside, I'll always be like 12 or 13. That's just how it is. I'm always going to be playing my Final Fantasies and my Dragon Quests, right? But you just stand out here. I'll go and do my thing. And here you go. Enjoy David Vink and Riley. Okay, so we're back in the Isovox. Riley is in the living room with the TV on. This is kind of interesting to note. I can't hear the TV at all. Barely at all. So this is kind of nice too, because sometimes when you're practicing, if you can hear other people, it's very distracting. I don't think I'd be able to tell my wife was out there. If she was like, maybe playing with our son or something, maybe she would, I'd be able to hear it. But right now I feel, it feels very private, which is awesome for recording and practicing. So let's start with the pitched false chord.
Always answer you in English. Not only that, a worldwide shipping for many rare and even very rare Japanese products that you can only find available on their website. So be sure to follow Mecha Japan on Twitter or Instagram in order to get the latest updates and information on all of your favorite products, but also to get in on any new ongoing promotions. And as a special bonus for my viewers, you can all use this special.
Thanks, David. Anyways, so that seems pretty cool from my end. Granted, I was inside the Isovox. What did you notice?
I could tell I'm the highest one, the loudest one.
Really?
Yeah, but I can't really hear you over the TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So would you say that when the TV was going and I was screaming, the TV kind of blocked out the scream, or would you say you kind of heard them both at the same time?
Oh, the TV was louder for sure.
And that's actually pretty good because right in that hallway, right on the other side of that hallway, it's not like a huge house. That's where my office is. That's where the nursery is. So pretty much, I feel like this is another win for the Isovox. Sounds like it wasn't quite as noise dampened as before, but like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is like you hear absolutely nothing. 1 is you hear me in the room like I am right now. Where would you put it?
Oh, like 9.
9? So, wow. So if you were distracted, would you say you'd notice it or probably not?
No.
This is amazing. Hell yeah. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, so this is going to be our last test. This is the bedroom. As you can see, nothing really to report. But the reason I decided to do it, even though I think we can already be pretty sure that the Isovox is great for dampening your voice for practice, part of the reason I decided to do it was, number one, when my wife sleeps, it's much quieter in here. She doesn't really sleep with a noise machine, but although sometimes I do, I'm not going to lie. And then also, you can't see it, but right there's a vent that goes directly to my office, right? Because the whole house, I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, I don't know, but it's basically built kind of like in a line. It's my office, nursery, hallway, living room, bam, and now we're here. And this is really the thing, right? Am I going to wake my wife up? Because that's not a good idea. So you want to do the same thing? Hang out here? Then we talk about it?
I thought you meant wake your wife up. Yeah, no, I'll sit here.
Don't wake my wife up. She'd be, what are you doing in my house? What is this? So let's go ahead. Let's give it a try. I'm going to run back to the office. I'm going to close the bedroom door because, again, that's more representative of how the room is actually used when my wife is sleeping. And then I'll come back and we'll talk about it. Let's go. Okay, time for the last test. Are my metal vocals going to wake up my wife? Because if so, that's a deal breaker. That right there is a deal breaker. Waking up my son or waking up my wife, bad news. So let's start with the loudest scream first. Here we go. Hey, cutie.
Hey.
All right, so how was it?
I didn't hear you.
You didn't hear a single thing?
No.
Legitimately?
Yeah.
So even like that super, super highest scream, nothing?
No.
All right. That is very exciting because I'm going to have to be tracking. Well, as you know,
Yeah.
Nico, the guitarist in Kardashev, he moved to Germany and he was the one who tracked all my vocals. So now I'm going to be having to track all the vocals and I'm going to have to do it outside of my normal vocal coaching. So this sounds like this is really going to solve my practice and tracking problems. It sounds like the only place you heard anything was in the living room and only a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Let's do a final thoughts here, but I think that's a win for the Isovox. All right, so let's talk final thoughts about this Isovox vocal booth here. Now, you might notice there's been a bit of a wardrobe change. I'm actually doing this outro a few days after I finished the first part of the video that you saw where I was doing those tests with Riley. And the reason for this is because I wanted to take some time, sit down, edit the video, listen to the audio through some headphones, and give you some very honest final thoughts here. I also have spent a couple nights just practicing in this thing, recording some stuff just for fun, nothing for release, but recording some vocals just for fun. And so far, no toddlers have woken up and my wife has not complained. So this is a win. I'm very, very pleased with the performance of this thing. So put simply, is this thing an isolation booth? No, absolutely not. But is it going to dampen your voice significantly and make practicing loud vocals much easier for you at home? Yes, absolutely. A couple other things about the product I just want to mention is that, number one, it's extremely well made. Like, this thing is sturdy and it's very easy to take apart and put together. Another thing I noticed, which is not a problem at all, but might be worth knowing, is that some of the audio takes that I did in the Isovox, especially when I was using my normal voice, if I was singing or, doing some, I don't do voiceover work, not yet, maybe I will someday, but I did like some makeshift voiceover work just for fun. The takes had a strong low end. They were very mildly, not boomy, they just had a boost of that low end, but they still sounded incredibly professional. And anyone who records anything knows that that's a problem that 3 seconds in an EQ is going to fix for you. You're going to pull up your EQ, you're going to find those boosts. You could probably just even put a preset on there to bring those low frequencies down. It's going to be fine. It's not a problem, just something you might want to think about. Last thing I want to address is that the only thing about the Isovox that I think might be a problem for some people is the price point. It's pretty expensive for some people, right? This Isovox, I was going to buy one anyway. I'd been saving up my money, so it was kind of fortuitous. But the Isovox can run about $1,000 depending where you're buying it from. And if you're buying it from a retailer that you can trust, that's where you're going to find it, an online retailer. But I think it does have some advantages that are very worth talking about. Number one of the only ways you're going to get pro level vocal takes is by going to a pro level studio, right? And if you do that, you're going to be paying pro level rates. And so what's going to happen is you're going to run up a bill of $1,000 fairly quickly, right? Fairly quickly. And that's something that you want to think about. Another thing is that this is a great alternative. You know, I was stressing out here because I thought I was going to have to build like a pro level studio in this room. And that's stressful because I don't really want to do that. I'm not a multi-instrumentalist. I'm not trying to run a recording business. I just needed a solution to not bother my family and to record good vocal takes for me to then send off to engineers. You know, like, here's my vocal take, you deal with it, right? And this is perfect for that. I didn't have to spend a lot of money putting panels up. You know, if my wife and I have another kid, we would maybe have to move house again. I don't have this booth that I've built that I now have to tear down, that I'm melting in. And again, I've recorded a lot of stuff covered in sheets or in like makeshift vocal booths and closets, and they work. They're just hot and they're miserable. So you're going to come to a point, if you're a vocalist, a singer, a voiceover artist, you're going to come to a point where you need pro level takes. And if you're trying to make this your career, or maybe not your career, but something that you're very, very passionate about, maybe you still have your day job, but you release albums and you want people to enjoy them, you're going to need pro level options. And this is a really good, this is a really good one. If you're really trying to take it to the next level. Is it 100% necessary? That's kind of up to you, but I knew that I needed one. And now that I've tested it, I know that had I purchased it, it would have been great. So that being said, there are some links to check out the Isovox down in the description below. They're not affiliate links. I do not get kickbacks for it. I'm not going to get a portion of your purchase. I just want to make it easy. The whole reason I made this video was to make it easy for you if you thought this was a good option to check it out for yourself. So that's what the links are for. So that being said, if you're looking for a way to dampen your voice significantly that also gives you pro level takes, the Isovox vocal booth, it's going to do it for you. Is it the only option? No, but I think it's a really, really, really good option and definitely something worth saving up for. Thank you so much for watching me test this thing. I hope it's been very helpful for you. And with that, happy screaming, many thanks, much love, I'm out.